I'm Donna Desamore, and today I'm going to interview Gerald Gold, the Director of Powered by Christ Ministries. So Gerald, how are you doing today?
Quite well, and you?
I'm doing great.
That's good.
Doing great.
That's
I'm
good.
always happy to spend time with my brother in the spirit, amen.
Thank you, my sister.
So, we're just going to jump right into it.
Okay.
People are going to be wondering who you are, why you do what you do. So if you can answer some questions for me, that'd be great.
Sure. I'd love to.
So, who are you?
Well, Gerald Gold, as you said.
Mhm.
I am the director. Here, I'm the senior pastor in the U.S. Powered by Christ Ministries, the visionary, the founder.
Okay, awesome.
Or I should say God's the founder, I'm just the visionary.
I know that's right. That's a good correction. That's good. So, tell us a little bit about who you are. So, when did you start the ministry?
Well, it was supposed to start many years ago, but in 2014, the vision was given to me, but I was too afraid or too unsure of myself to start then. But I did start the ministry it was a prayer partnership. It started off as a prayer partnership. It started off as simply a friend of mine saying, I need you to be my prayer partner. And I said, okay. And then it became an international thing. It became more than one person that, I was praying for across the globe and it being a prayer partnership.
Awesome. So it was founded on prayer.
Founded on prayer.
Amen. That means it's got a good foundation, right?
Yes.
Okay, so people are going to want to know, where is the ministry located?
Well, we're based out of the U.S. I want to say we're U.S. based, but we're a global ministry. We also have headquarters also in Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay.
Yes, that's the first. I need to go back. Once it became the prayer partnership wasn't the end of it. I was invited to go speak at a church, and the ministry the vision was there, and it was more than just a prayer partnership. It was a full ministry. It was to preach the truth of the gospel, because there's too much fluff in some of our church circles here. There's too much fluff. I listened to Marcus
Exactly what
Rogers.
you're talking about.
Yes, I listened to Marcus Rogers one time, and he said, I like what he said. He said, there's too many gummy bear churches. We don't get to the truth, to the meat of the gospel. So I was called to that. So when I preached at this church, the message was preached, and we agreed, me and the pastor of that church, that, he said, man, I really want to, I like your ministry. I want to get involved. So we got involved together. So there's where we had our first actual partnership in Kenya. And that's where we set our feet in Kenya. So that was the first country I was invited to. That's the first country other than the U.S. that we started in. So
wow.
That's our other headquarters.
That's a whole other country.
Yes.
So many people are, I guess, as you would say, afraid to start it in their own country. What leap of faith did that take for you to start it in a whole different country?
It was God. It was God prodding me, because I didn't want to. I want to say I was like a Jonah a little bit, or like a mix between Jonah and Moses. God, I can't do this. I don't have enough. I'm not known well enough here. People don't believe me. People they're not going to hear me. I don't have a big enough church. I don't, And God just lined things up. He lined everything up.
Amen.
From the start to the finish. So I think the leap of faith was just me believing not in myself, but in the power that God had given me. And then in that, God just kind of used that to push me, and once I got pushed in, I said, oh, this isn't too bad. Give me more, Lord.
Amen. I think that every pastor can identify what you just said. What you just said. Okay, so you said why you started the ministry. What do you want people to know about your ministry?
Okay, well, there's a common misconception. Well, I guess it's not a misconception, it's just the truth. Many ministries are born from churches. So there's a church with a ministry. This is a ministry with churches. We're ministry minded. So Powered by Christ is an evangelistic ministry. We do preach the gospel. The whole thing is the Great Commission, to preach the gospel to every living thing across the globe in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, as written in the Word. So the way we've designed it and the way we do things is we have our international team, which at this point is comprised of me and the rest of my team's Kenyan.
Okay.
But we're international, so that means we go everywhere or anywhere in the world that we're led to set foot in, including here, including there, and anywhere else there. We go and we have 4 pillars of our ministry that we use. We do community, which would include feeding and clothing programs for the homeless. And during those feeding and clothing programs, we do what you call, we call them rallies. In Kenya, we use the style that they have in Kenya, incorporated it with what we have here, and it's called a rally. It's where we have free clothes giveaway, we have free food. It depends on the demographic, like because in some places the challenge is not food or clothes, it's something else.
Yes.
But where we have our rallies, we also have the gospel being preached. So people they're not forced to listen to a message or sit down. They come for the clothes and the food, and while they're there, there's music, there's gospel music, and there's preaching. And we find that it draws people. People will stop just to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And they get the word, and sometimes they may visit 2 or 3 times. But we're showing them the love of Christ, not just preaching to them, but we're showing them the love of Christ by providing a need for the community. So that part of the community, and also it involves schools, helping out with schools. In Kenya, it's a little different challenge than it is in America. In Kenya, it's school programs, visiting schools and teaching. We can openly teach Christ in schools there.
Yeah.
Books and supplies, like tuitions, or not tuition, but school supplies. We do have a need for that here, but it's a greater need in Kenya. Some kids go to school without shoes. I mean, it's something we take for granted here. Again, each country is going to have its own different challenges, but that's part of the community. And then on top of the community, it all marries together. We would have the discipling and mentorship programs, which would include women, which would include children, men too, discipling and mentoring. At-risk kids, like even in America, the big thing would be the mentoring and discipling. You have at-risk children, at-risk mothers. You also have the men that are the new Christians that are just becoming saved. Yeah. You bring them in and you disciple them. You just don't preach the gospel and give them, and God bless you, brother, and walk off. Mm-hmm. You have to come back. You have to disciple them, teach them so they can be, and basically you're making another one of yourself.
To cultivate the seed.
Exactly, you're cultivating the seed. Exactly right. That's exactly right. You have to. You can't just leave them as orphans. Yeah. And also in that, we also have our church planting. The church planting only occurs where there's not a church that we fellowship with. For instance, if we're in an area, we'll come in the area not looking for you to join my church. It's not about money, it's about Christ. Right. So we're coming there to preach the gospel, we're coming there to love on the people. If we have a relationship with a church in the community, a local church, we'll try to make a relationship with them, because I think you and I have talked about this before. There are many members in the body of Christ, yes. But not everybody's a hand and not everybody's a foot. So the feet may not agree with the hands all the time, because feet stomp and hands clap. So they may not agree with our style, because our style is not orthodox, it's unorthodox. We'll come at you on your level. We won't come with this, staunch, holier than thou, and I'm not wearing a 3-piece suit every time. I'm not knocking those who do, but I'm not wearing all that. I'm coming out street clothes. I may put a dress shirt on or something, but I'm coming out there on relatable, because they need that. But if I can fellowship with a pastor there, a church there, and we have relationship, then I can say, when they come to our rallies, when we do our giveaways, when we do our mentoring programs, and they need more of the word, there's a church right there. I know the pastor. Okay. Tell him we sent you there. Tell him tell him your experience. Tell him we sent you there.
So you go in fellowship with the pastors in the community, but you will only plant if there's not a church in that community. Or
a church that's not willing, or does not doesn't agree with the vision, or agree with our presence there. Mm-hmm. So then we'll plant a church, and then what that church becomes a mini part of us, because now the church is made for the community. it does the same exact thing in its community. It does the same exact, and the fourth pillar is the prison ministries. So in the community, where it's almost like we give birth. We go, the international team goes through, and we give birth to new Christians come in. God is always there's always a leader that God delivers. God will deliver a leader. And we'll work with them. We'll stay as long as we have to. We'll work with them. There'll be pastors cultivated. There'll be people there. Pastors will be sent. And we leave our mark. So they do the same thing we did, but just for their community. They still have the rallies. They still go and they do the programs, the feeding and clothing programs. They take care of their community. The church should be for the community. The block should change because the church is sitting there. So the church is actually a mini part of the same thing the parent ministry does. Even the prison ministry. So all those programs are set up for the community. So that way, it doesn't matter whether they're saved or not, they see the love of Christ coming from the church in their community.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's, what you want people to know that your ministry does. So when people come in contact with your ministry, what is it that you want everyone to walk away with knowing, like your stamp, so what is that?
Our stamp, I would say that I want them to know that we're real for Christ and that we genuinely love people because God genuinely loves people.
That's awesome.
And I want them to walk away with the feeling of whether you accept Christ in your life or not, you were loved on.
That's great.
And you were loved on genuinely, right where you are.
That's great. Okay, so with all that being said, where can we go to check you out, to find you?
Okay, our website is still in the works, but it is up and visible. We do have a few things on it. It's Powered by Christ, all one word. Powered by Christ. I'm sorry, www.poweredbychrist.us. Thank you.
Okay.
And we can also be found. You can contact us at info@poweredbychrist.us or by my name gerald.gold@poweredbychrist.us. Our Instagram account's coming up. Our Facebook is Powered by Christ Ministries on Facebook.
Okay.
And we also have a YouTube channel, Powered by Christ Ministries.
Powered by Christ Ministries. Awesome. So is there anything you want to say that we haven't covered here? Anything you want to make sure that you deposit to the hearts of the people who are watching this?
Yes, definitely. We are not here to make money. You're never going to hear us or anyone affiliated with us, any of our pastors, any of our leaders come up and say, plant a $50 seed. You're not going to hear that. You're not going to hear us tell you that you have to sow in this and sow in that to the ministry. We take donations, yes. We do that, but we're not here, we're not making money. We're not here to dig into somebody's pockets. We're here to give, not to take. And the community, it's up to the community to build their own churches. We're trying to teach people to empower the communities to help themselves, to work together. So this is not about money, and that's the big thing. And if any pastor, we've run across this a lot, pastors that want to join us because it's an American-based ministry, and they think money, but we're not. If there's a pastor that is looking at this and is looking at trying to join us or a church, know that this is not a money-making thing. Don't come here looking for money. All we're doing is what the apostles did. We're not doing anything new. We're doing what the apostles did. We're not coming to take money. God will give us. People will come. People do come. Trust me, they'll come and they'll donate without us even bothering to ask. They'll ask, how can we donate? And that's how I'd like to leave it, because people really do have it twisted in this country and in other countries. It's not about money, it's about Christ.
That's right. All day.
All day.
Well, thank you for allowing me to interview you today. It's been an experience, and I hope to do it again.
Yes, I hope so.